This is Smithy.tv.
Reporting for Katie Chats here in downtown Toronto at Smithy TV with actor, writer, director Michael Mahonen. What inspired you to get into the business?
Well, I guess in a way I didn't have many other options. I had finished high school and I went to college where I had sort of been encouraged to go to play basketball, and technically I was studying business, but I would say more specifically I was studying basketballology. And so for those 2 years I focused mainly on the sport, actually. Mm-hmm. And so then when I got out, I thought, gee, what am I going to do? And then I took about a year off, and I did a bunch of different kinds of jobs, tree planting in the bush, construction, a bunch of different things. And then I asked myself what might be interesting. And I had never really done any acting, but I had always watched actors on television and film. And I thought, some of it's not so good. I thought maybe I could, do as well as some of what I was looking at. So I decided to go to Toronto and audition at George Brown Theatre School, and they accepted me, and that was it.
How did your basketball background help you as an actor, or did it at all?
Definitely, yeah. I mean, especially on stage, you've got to be aware of, you've got to be focused very much on what you're doing in a scene, but you have to be aware of your space, aware of the other people on stage, and on a basketball court, it's the same thing. I mean, you've got to really work together as a team. And also physically as well, it gets you in good shape when you're playing at a fairly high level, and stretching and working with your body, and especially in theater acting, that's also important. And so when we started doing the body work and things like that in theater school, it was definitely helpful to have been involved in sports.
And how did your training in theater school help you transition into your work in film and TV?
I don't see that much of a difference, really, between the two. Of course, on stage you've got an audience they're there, and you don't have cameras set up that are cutting and set up to make sure they're catching your face, so you've got to be aware of telling the story to the audience. Not necessarily always facing them. Sometimes you can say more with your back turned, actually. But the transition to film and television was, the focus is just more specific, because mainly you're on, medium, two-shot singles, and so your focus is very much on whoever it is you're playing the scene with, or whatever it is that you're focused on. But the basic aspects of acting and being truthful and being in the moment and having done your preparation and your research and understanding the character to the best of your ability, it's the same deal as far as I'm concerned, yeah.
And what was it like winning a Gemini for your role in Conspiracy of Silence?
That was, I would have to say that was quite an honor, partly because of the company I was in. The other nominees, in Canada we don't promote actors, unfortunately, but we have some of the best actors in the world, and I was nominated with a friend of mine, actually, Michael Riley, and Stephen Ouimet, who is one of the top actors in Canada and in the world, as is Riley, and the late Neil Monroe, he became mainly a director later at the Shaw Festival, a director of theater, which I think some of his work was genius as a director, and as an actor he was also extremely talented. So when I just saw my name among those guys, you know, having just been out of school for a couple of years. It was like, wow. So when I was chosen, you know, I paid respect to them first off in my acceptance speech, and so because of that, it was definitely an honor.
And what was the best part about playing Gus Pike on Road to Avonlea?
There were a lot of really cool aspects to that. You know, hanging out with kids, you know, on the set, and it's just fun. You know, you can sometimes just be a kid again, you know, joke around and fool around, and also being out on the set in Uxbridge, out in the country, especially in the summer, was just great. You know, it's as beautiful there as it looks on the screen. You know, rolling fields of, you know, long fluffy grass and stuff like that. So yeah, it was a great show to work on. The crew was excellent, great bunch of guys. Everyone, hair, makeup, you know, the whole deal was really, really pleasant.
And what are you hoping to work on in the future?
Well, I've been focusing more on writing and directing, and right now, totally unexpectedly, I had been asked a couple of years ago by a friend if I would be interested in working on some 3D animation, and so never having done that before, knowing nothing about the technical aspects, I said sure, because, you know, it's a new challenge, and so I've been focusing on that. We've got first couple of episodes of a series in a can that's based on, well, finishing post-production on the first one, but it's based on a martial arts master in ancient China who has a secluded temple on a mountain, and he has a couple of martial arts disciples, and they go out and they defend different areas of ancient China from various mythical beasts. And so I've been writing and directing that. Yeah.
And you also wrote and directed Sandstorm. What was it like to go on the festival circuit with that and to win 29 awards?
Well, that was unexpected. I mean, I initially wrote the film with the idea of trying to awaken the consciences of the policemen in China who are persecuting people who do a practice called Falun Gong or Falun Dafa, and it's been going on for 13 years now, and it's been condemned by all the major human rights organizations and the United Nations and many governments, and a lot of the policemen are pressured a lot to participate in this persecution, and so because they're on the front lines, so to speak, I wanted to present themselves with themselves. I wanted to get them to kind of look from a third-person perspective at, you know, the things they're doing and put it in a movie. And so the movie was made. Everyone volunteered. Most people had never worked on a movie set at all, and it was challenging, but we got it done. And then once it was verified that it had been successfully sent into China, and that the Falun Gong practitioners there had made copies and were getting it actually into the hands of police safely, that's when it just occurred to me maybe this would strike a chord with Western audiences as well. And so at that point, I decided to take a shot at entering it into some festivals, and it was accepted and started winning awards, and the audience reactions were really great. You know, a lot of tears and Q&As, a lot of Q&As at the festivals. I went to a couple of places in Spain. I went to India. I went to Moscow, Russia. I went to Kiev, Ukraine, all over the States, and the reaction to the movie was very, very powerful, I would say. And that was sort of the most profound, I guess, aspect of the whole experience, was to see how this movie that was portraying people who were being unjustly persecuted, how it was touching the hearts of the people who were watching the movie. And the awards were, every time it was a surprise, I can honestly say. I didn't go to all of the festivals that had awards. I didn't go to 29 festivals. It screened in about 60, and I was, I don't know, about 25 festivals.
And what advice would you give to someone who's an aspiring actor or filmmaker?
Get a trade. I say this seriously. I would say if it's something you feel in your heart that you need to do, you need to communicate something. If you're doing it because you want to get famous, if you're doing it because you want to get rich, I'd say think about it a little bit more. And if you do it, I would say do it because you feel that there's something you really want and need to communicate with the world in regards to the art of acting, or the art of directing, or the art of writing. And hopefully with some kind of a deeper benevolent purpose behind it. And that will take you through the difficult times as well, because that's sort of the reason why you're doing it. But I say a trade because, trades are honorable. Anything from carpentry, fine carpentry, to all kinds of trades. I mean, if one can do that, then one will always have opportunities for employment. For example, if one gets into something to do with IT, computers or something, if you're not upgrading your training every 6 months or so, you're going to be obsolete within a couple of years. But with trades, it's pretty much, same kind of deal. And it's honorable, and I think it's good for someone to get away from the business sometimes and sort of refuel and get in touch with real tangible aspects of life. Daniel Day-Lewis, who's one of the greatest actors I think ever in film, he's taken long periods off. Once he took a couple of years off to learn how to be a world-class shoemaker, and he trained with a guy in Italy to do that. And I can understand the sort of benefits of doing that kind of thing, because it gets you in touch with life again.
How did you get involved in the activism?
I started reading about the persecution of Falun Gong practitioners shortly after it started in 1999. And I wondered what it was about, because there was no rationale by the Chinese regime given. They were just name-calling. So I thought there's something off about what's going on. And after reading some articles, one day I opened my apartment door and there was this little black and white news flyer there that said truth, compassion, forbearance. And I thought, wow, who's saying all of this? And I read it, and this was the group that was being persecuted. And over a number of months, I started looking at the website, the Canadian website, and then I started reading the teachings, and it struck a chord in me. And I thought, everything's for free, nothing to join, nothing's asked from you. And I thought, these people are being persecuted, and I'm really benefiting from this practice. And I didn't feel it was right to just sit back and do nothing while people were being so brutally persecuted. And that eventually led to Sandstorm, but there's a number of other things I've done as well, writing some articles for some newspapers and stuff.
And how has the practice helped you in your daily life?
It's helped me to become a better person, I would say, in a number of ways. The principles of truth, compassion, forbearance, always trying to keep those in your mind, really changes a person sort of in a fundamental way for the better. Family and friends have seen it and have had very positive comments about it. And of course, health. I mean, I've been practicing now for 13 years, and I haven't even had a cold, nothing for that time period. And it's just a broader perspective of life in general as well.
And where is the best place to find out more information on you and your work online?
There's a bunch of stuff on the internet, like there's fan websites and that kind of thing. So if you just Googled Michael Mahonen, you'd get probably more than you'd be wanting to see. Not in a bad way, not that I know of anyway. Or I mean, Facebook. I mean, I have my Facebook site open to anybody, and there's a Sandstorm movie site on Facebook as well. Yeah, so there's quite a bit of stuff there.
Thank you so much, Michael. Congratulations on all of your success, and best of luck with your upcoming projects.
Thanks, Katie.
Thank you. I'm Katie Ullman reporting for Katie Chats here at Smithy TV in downtown Toronto.